Oh, hello. Well, welcome to my second video tutorial about doing table decorations for Mother's Day. And just behind me here, I've got some Photinia red robin, and it's a hedge covered in red leaves. It's a really sort of a Christmassy thing really, but we're in end of April, early May, and I just thought because it's so common it would make a lovely basis for a design. And a lot of the shoots I notice of the new growth of things like roses especially, they've got this reddish tinge. So here it is, Photinia red robin, grows all over the place around here. People plant it for hedges, and I thought it would make a lovely inspiration for a design. I thought it would go with pink. That's what I've got in mind. So there it is, Photinia red robin. Perhaps I'll flip the camera around and we'll have a closer look. So there is this so beautiful sort of bright red on the new young leaves, and it's also got these flowers, buds coming. The buds would be really lovely to use as well. I don't actually have any in the garden, but it's a very common hedging plant. So there's a resource there that could be used, to make flower decorations. And as ever, where it's been cut with hedge clippers, there isn't really any cutting material. But up at the top, where it's been left to go straggly, that would make really nice cutting material. So again, having a plant resource and not really using it in a way which is helpful really for cutting. But Photinia red robin there, looking lovely. So here is all the assembled plant material, and the weather's getting a little bit warmer now, thank goodness, and I'm just a bit conscious about keeping all the stems in water all the time. So I've kept most of it in buckets, and I just wanted to start really with the foliage. That I couldn't get any of the Photinia red robin, despite the fact that it grows on every street round here. I haven't actually got any, and I got this at the garden centre. It's got similar coloured leaves. There's a lot of this sort of colour in the foliage at the moment, and I got this reddish one here, and I've got a big bunch of hawthorn. There's loads and loads of this available at the moment, and this in the it's got the flower buds there. They've got this similar sort of pinky sort of brown tone, which sort of goes with the leaves, and I've also got some birch here, which has got catkins on it. If I can find some catkins there's some catkins there on the birch, and I've got some pink spray roses, and these are sort of, they've got it's a sort of a salmony pink, and I'm hoping that this will pick up with the red of the leaves. So salmon pink spray roses there, so I bought those, and there's sweet williams. These to me, these are lovely, sort of cottagey feel to them, early summer flower. Love seeing those. And then I've got these lovely sort of pinky apricot, salmony antirrhinums, really beautiful antirrhinums there. So anyway, so here goes. Now I'm going to pop that out on the table and see what we can do with it all. So here we are, all ready to go, and I've just been thinking about containers for the since last week's video, and last time I was using these little containers here with a pin holder and some chicken wiring, and arranging into there. And so this is a sort of a no floral foam technique, but what I was noticing was that the water slops out of the containers, so they're not really very transportable. If you're going to helping some friends set up a lunch, a party or something like that, or a Mother's Day lunch, and you had to transport the arrangements, you wouldn't be able to do this. Back in the day of floral foam, florists used to do these little arrangements in floral foam, and you could just put them in the back of a van, and there was no water slopping about, and they used to I think they used to sort of deliver them, to drive around and deliver them to people's houses. So we can't do that anymore. So for today I thought I'd look more at the hand tied design, that this is sort of coming into its own now with no floral foam, and perhaps do a spiral, sort of classic hand tie, but quite short and low, and use that as a table centerpiece. That's what I'd like to do. And if there's any bits left over at the end, I've got some jam jars here, and there's here, I think this looks like a little sugar bowl. That would make a nice little table arrangement. And there's a whiskey, what is it? Oh, anyway, the whiskey jar, whiskey glass. Anyway, what's you call it? Anyway, whiskey glass. So and some jam jars, and of course jam jars are very eco-friendly because it's a recycled product, and if you give the arrangement away, you haven't got to, obviously haven't got to return the container to you. So let's get started then, and we're going to hopefully do a lowish table centerpiece as a classic hand tie. So they've really got some absolutely beautiful plant material here. There we are, look at that. I mean, really, look at that. There you are. You could just put that in a vase, couldn't you, as it is, and it looks really looks lovely. Beautiful thing there. So we'll get rid of that, don't need that anymore. There we are. So some nice jam jars. So it's worth looking out for jam jars as you sort of go along, for some that you think are interesting shapes, or big or small or whatever. And I've got a little collection going, and they're always come in handy to put a few flowers in. So there we are. So I've tied these up in bunches, just sort of to keep them neat and tidy in the, when they're being conditioned in the containers there. So I just wanted to acknowledge that for Mother's Day isn't a happy occasion for everybody. For some people it's quite a sad day. So I just wanted to acknowledge that it's not always a happy time for everybody, and so perhaps you might like to buy some flowers for yourself if it's not a happy day. And also just to bear in mind that perhaps some people watching this are living in the southern hemisphere, and I just wondered what do you do for flowers on Mother's Day, because it's the autumn. Perhaps do you do sort of dahlias and chrysanthemums? So perhaps you could leave something in the comments to say what it is that you do if you're in the southern hemisphere, or where you live. What are the what flowers do you have where you live? And yeah, talking of which, so I've got this hawthorn here, and obviously this is a very sort of British, really common in the British hedgerows, but wherever you live in the northern hemisphere, it's late spring. There will be things growing because it's spring, so you don't have to use hawthorn, but if you just look around, you'll find some really common thing that's growing all over the place, and you can use that instead. So I suspect things like this from a garden centre, they're pretty universal. If you went to a garden centre, I'm sure you would find things with this sort of reddish colours. I just also wanted to say about the seasonality of it, that I think it's important to include these. It's not that they're wild, well they are wild, but to be taking things from your local environment, because a few years ago there was a wedding down at the local church here, and it was in sort of October or November, that sort of time, and there was this beautiful floral arch, and it had white delphiniums in it, which obviously come out sort of May, June, and it was a freezing cold day in the autumn, pouring with rain. And I thought, well, how silly to have white delphiniums in autumn. If you just went for autumn colours, if it was pouring with rain, it wouldn't matter. And I just felt, I was so sorry for the bride. She must have come out of the church, just got married, and she's got this beautiful arch with white delphiniums, and it's pouring with rain. It's dark and it's cold. It's horrible. And I sort of really felt for her, and I thought she should have gone for some seasonal colours, and it wouldn't have mattered what the weather was. So say you were having a lunch party outside, the fact that you've got all this hawthorn and these things from the hedges, it kind of connects your decorations to the broader environment. So I think that's a really important thing to do, not to try to have some sort of totally artificial kind of plant material that's completely disconnected from what's around you. And I think this will blend much better into the environment. So anyway, so I don't know how much of this I'm going to use, but I do think it's important to try and get some bits of wild stuff going in there. So here we go. So I've got some these beautiful salmon pink spray roses. Now when I'm doing this design, and the thing is I don't quite know what I'm going to do. So it's not like I just go straight in and it just all works. Sometimes you have to sort of work out how the design's going to go, and sometimes undo it and start again if it's not going in the right direction. Now for me, these are the most difficult thing that I'm going to have to place. These are my worry, the things that I'm a little bit concerned about. So I'm going to try and get the delphiniums going fairly early to. I kind of want them out the way. I don't want to be trying to place them in the bouquet at the end. So and these are going to stand just a little bit proud above everything else. So I think it's quite important to get those placed nicely early on. So I'm just very relieved at the moment that we're sort of into. We've had some very cold weather lately, and it's lovely that the weather seems to have just turned a corner, and it feels much warmer, and that summer is on the way. It's been a long cold winter, so I wonder what it's been like in your part of the world. Have you had that experience as well? Have you had some bad weather during the winter? Drop something in the comments below and let me know. I'd love to know. Now this bit here, I don't know if you can see, it's almost like a little yeah, I mean it's a lovely thing, but it's like a little tree all on its own, so you can't really put that in. I really need to trim these side ones off, and those little stems will be nice. That hopefully we'll use those at the end in a little small decoration to go in at the end. But these spray roses are absolutely beautiful. So I'll try and keep those in a safe space and not forget, like I did last week, to get to the end and then remember that I've got some nice little bits of plant material that I've forgotten about. So right, so yeah, I do think it's a little bit awkward with these tall sort of spiky things, because they've got to stand up above, stick out above the rest of the design. So I don't think that's kind of ideal really, especially as you want a low. We want quite a low. It's supposed to be a low table design, so it's going to make it a bit tall. But I suppose people, if you're a guest and you've got this in front of you, you can sort of peer through, because it's not going to completely obscure your view. So some of this is looking a little bit, I don't know, it doesn't look very fresh really. That bit's, I don't know why. It's been in water, but it doesn't look so sort of fresh. But I think a bit of green in here would be quite nice. And I thought for Mother's Day, I just thought these colours with the red foliage and more the sort of the salmon pink, it was just a little bit more unusual rather than the sort of stereotypical sort of mum sort of bright pink and all that sort of thing. I just thought it'd be nice to have some different sort of colours going in for that. So now I'm not really sure. I think we've got to get one of these right in the middle somewhere. So I'm quite. I don't want this. That's it. So I'm trying to make a little rosette of the with the snapdragons. I don't know if people call them snapdragons or antirrhinums, but they as long as you know what they are, doesn't matter what you call them. But lovely sort of early summer. Well, it's all summer long really, antirrhinums. But you know, lovely sort of cottage garden. I always think of them as a cottage garden plant. Really, really nice. I just remember this. It's the sort of thing I remember from childhood, really. Antirrhinums growing in the garden. They're sort of quite an old-fashioned plant, really. And so are the Sweet Williams. I suppose they're quite old-fashioned too. So that might be something that Mum might remember. She's an older lady. She might have memories of different plants when she was growing up to the ones that perhaps some of us have now. So there we are. So I'm just spiralling this in. I feel it's so luxurious to have all these spray roses. They're really amazing things. I remember a few years ago I went to the a couple of years ago, I went to the Chelsea Flower Show, and I thought I want to grow these spray roses. I absolutely love these spray roses, and so I went up to one of the there was a rose grower there, and I thought, well, I'm going to ask him. I'm going to say, what tell me what varieties. I haven't seen these in the catalogues. I want to grow some spray roses, and he sort of said, well, you can't really, because they're not hardy. He says you can't grow them in this country. All these spray roses you get, they're all tender. And I was really shocked to, I thought, well, roses, they're a hardy plant, aren't they? But he said, oh no, you can't. There aren't many. There are a few. He said, but generally these are tender roses. So they're grown in heated greenhouses, or they grow in a hot country. So spray roses, most of the time, they're, it's not very eco-friendly, but they are very beautiful and very, very, really, really useful in a design to these lovely little buds. And as a treat perhaps for Mother's Day, some spray roses. And they dry as well. Spray roses, you can dry them, and that's really nice too. So you don't have to throw them away afterwards. You can just dry them in the oven, or just hang them upside down and they'll dry. So that's a plus point in their favour. So anyway, so this, really, to me, this is sort of big enough as it is, really. I don't think it needs to be a lot bigger, but and I haven't really used much of that hawthorn, have I? So to try and put some of that in there to get that going as well. But I think this is well on the way. And of course you could use this as a gift, for Mum as well. That would be okay. I think those colours are quite nice. I think they it's just a little bit unusual. These sort of salmony tones and some red lips. I think sometimes, I do it myself, but sometimes in the sort of, I don't know, like interfloral bouquets and things like that, if you just think, it's the same old colour combinations just been repeated over and over again. So it's nice to just sort of just find some things that are growing where you live, and and it sort of forces you to come up with your own colour combinations, because you can't the obvious ones, because you haven't got the plant material to do it. And I know last week I did the design with sort of lilac-y pink shades, and afterwards I thought, that would have been really good with some bright lime green. And and if I'd been probably at a flower market or something, I would have, I probably would have put a load of lime green in it. But because I wasn't at a flower market, it never entered my mind to do that. So and it made the design, a little bit different, a different colour scheme because I couldn't do that. So really, for a present, that would be perfectly adequate, just like that. So I've got loads of plant material left. I could probably do 2 of these with the amount of plant material, but Anyway, I think I better start putting in some of these roses. So these the bits that I'm snipping off, these are going to be absolutely ideal for doing little, tiny little poses to to go in a jam jar. These will be absolutely ideal. And so if you're decorating your home, you know, dot in lots of little, you know, jam jars and stuff with flowers in around the place is a really good way to do it. And it's a nice sort of flexible way to do it as well, because you know, obviously you can just move them around or set them out in a nice straight line if you want to have something running down the middle of your table. So, oh gosh, I'm quite enjoying this one. I think that, you know, this looks nice. It's a nice, unusual. Yeah, I just feel it's a little, you know, the colours in it are a little bit unusual. So, for me, that makes it more interesting, really. That's it. But I mean, because I'm interested in plants and natures and flowers and things like that. I suppose I'm looking for, you know, for a bit of interest, you know, a bit more interest perhaps in the plant material. So there we are. So that's right up at the front there. So that's that. So really, this is. I think this is. I've still got some more geraniums. I've got so much plant material here. It's going to make a really lovely, showy bouquet for Mum on Mother's Day. Wow. So what I'm going to do is cut it down quite short so it's not too tall in the vase, and it'll make a nice low decoration. So not really taking very much time at all, so I'm quite pleased about that as well. So there, so I'll just so you can see where it's going. There we are. Yeah, it would be interesting to know what part of the world you're watching from, because I was wondering about doing some live programs, and you know, to know what time zone that you live in, yeah. So if that would be something that you'd be interested in, some live TV, some live demonstrations, and you'd be able to ask questions and sort of interact a bit as we were doing that. So yeah, if that, you could let me know what part of the world you're living in, what time zone you're in. That would be really interesting and helpful to me. And perhaps we could think about if I can get the technology to work to do some live shows. So right, so I'm just sort of coming to the end now of these roses. So I think that will do. So some people, when they do these bouquets, they like to do them in front of a mirror, so they can see what they're doing. I can't actually see in the because I've got my glasses on. I can't see what that looks like over there, but it kind of looks fairly okay from here. Of course, once you've tied it, it's too late to do anything about it. Yeah, so I do like these spray roses because you get all these little side shoots on them, which are quite handy for to make something else out of it. So that's quite useful. So let's try and use these all up. That one there. And I'm just sort of thinking about there's not going to be a huge amount left over. Oh, I do want to use up those leaves. Don't want any of those left. There we are. Oh, I think that's nearly done, to be honest. You know, my hands are starting to get a little bit tired as well. So that's another reason to finish off, because my hands are tired. But I think that, you know, let's have a look. That looks kind of all right. I think that will be fine. There, so yeah, I think that this sort of salmony pink. Oh, that one's broken. Oh, that's a shame. I can't use that one. So that one will have to go into the into the small table arrangement. So sorry, I was just saying that with these, I like this salmon, this salmon pink. It's just a slightly different shade of pink to perhaps what you usually get, and I just think it's a little bit, just makes it a little bit unusual, not so. Oh, I don't know. There's a sort of a seriousness to it somehow. It's not quite so. Frivolous or light-hearted. There's some sort of more depth to that somehow. Well, from where I'm standing, that looks fairly symmetrical to me. Now I've got quite a lot of the Sweet Williams left. I can't see any gaps at the moment. Possibly there's a gap there. We could just fill that one up. But I'm just sort of thinking I might save some Sweet Williams for. I think that might have to do. That might have to do. And save the Sweet Williams for the small table range. So I think that's it. I'm straining to look. I can't see that, but I think that's fine. That's absolutely fine. So that's really quite a substantial big bouquet there. So I'm just going to tie that now with a bit of string, and I did notice when you're tying, it's quite difficult. Obviously, it's not an easy job to do this, but if you do it with wet string, it makes it a bit easier to tie. I don't think this is soaking up the water. I should have put this in before I started. But if the string's wet, it doesn't sort of slide about. It gives you a bit more control when you're tying your knot. So I've just soaked the string in water, and there we are. Oh, there we go. There's a nice spiral on the stem. So something going on here. What's this? Don't know what that is sticking out. Oh, there we are. Oh, it's lovely to be able to put it down, and when you tie it, like normally you have to sort of put your finger on, don't you, to stop it undoing. But if the string's wet, you can tie it and it doesn't slip in your hand. So that's a really handy little tip for you for tying your bouquet. Now I'm really, I think that looks really, really nice actually. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. And and the stems look really nice as well. So I think they'll look really nice when they're in the container. I mean, it would be lovely to just have that freestanding, just have it standing on the stalks would be nice. So I'm sort of tempted to do that, but I think that's sort of showing off maybe. So what I had in mind was to put it in this short little container. It's quite small, but I want it to be low. I have got a bigger one here. Really, it ought to go into that big one, but I want it to sit, because it's a table arrangement. I want it to sit quite low. So here we go. So I'm just putting this here on the edge of the table so I can sort of see where I want to cut the stalks off. So about there. Okay. So just slipping these off here. But I do like the spiral of the stems, and that is part of your design. You're putting it in a glass jar. People can see the stalks, and that they're all arranged nicely. It is part of your design. So I think I'm quite pleased to see that there. That I've got a nice spiral there. I don't really want to see if just try and get it to stand up. But when you're cutting them, it goes on it doesn't go straight across them then. So let's see if I can stand it up. There we are. It's not quite But anyway, so it would be quite nice in a way to just spend some time just straightening up the stalks, so that it you know, to just have it like that and just stand it on a saucer would be nice. Oh, it's almost balancing. Not quite. There we are. There, it's balancing. There. No hands. No hands. So yeah. Yeah. So you could just stand that on a saucer. And you know, I think that would look quite impressive actually, just to have the stalks. But some of these are sort of sticking out a little bit. It might need a little bit more trimming to get all the stalks the same length. But that would look nice. So let's just see anyway if that will go in here. And oh, quite tight. So we need a bigger container. So really that ought to be trimmed, and that's still a little bit too high. It needs at least a sort of an inch to go off there to get that right. I hate cutting the stalks off. When I grow stuff, it's so hard getting the stems, you know, these long stems. It's just like really hard work. And my stuff never comes out with such long stems, because you have to, it requires, you know, a lot of resources of like feeding the plants and watering them and getting these long stems. It's not easy at all, and supporting them if the weather's bad so they don't fall over and stuff. And anyway, so I hate cutting the stems off. So really that could be a little bit shorter still, but we don't want to spend too much time on it. So there we are. So there's your table. That would look a lovely table centerpiece. That would look really nice for a Mother's Day lunch. That would be beautiful. Or you could actually just wrap it up in tissue paper and give it as a present. But I think that would be. I don't want to tip it too much because I'm spilling the water. But I think that would be a lovely. A lovely present, a lovely table centerpiece for Mother's Day with delphiniums, spring, lovely sort of late spring, early summer flowers, really appropriate for the time of year. And it's got things taken from hedge clippings really that are available. We've got the wild hawthorn as well. So as sort of references to nature. So right, I'm going to pop that one over on the side there. And now, with what's left, to do a small, you know, if there's more plant material, to do several small little table arrangements to go perhaps in a jam jar. So we'll see what container it needs when it comes to it. So. Oh, a whiskey tumbler. Is that what you call it? A whiskey tumbler? That was bugging me. I couldn't think what to call it. A whiskey tumbler. I don't know why we've got a whiskey tumbler in this house, because there's certainly never anybody who drinks whiskey. But we've got a whiskey tumbler anyway. So right. So there's these. You know, these very short stems. So this is going to be really like a miniature little posy with these with the spray roses. They call them majolica roses, I think, as well. I don't know why they call them majolica roses. I don't know what that is, but that's another name for them, but spray roses. You know, these would be lovely to make some buttonholes or boutonniere. I don't know what the difference is between a buttonhole and a boutonniere. When I grew up, they were always called buttonholes, and then at some point people started to call them boutonniere. I don't know if it just sounds a bit. I don't know if they're different things. I don't. Maybe in the 70s, a buttonhole was like a carnation with a bit of fern on it, and then a boutonniere is more designed or something. I don't know. But anyway, these would make nice boutonniere. It'd be lovely for a man's one, just a tiny little salmon rose. That would really look nice for a gentleman. So we've got those. There's some more here. That's it. And oh, that's right. And I've got this plant from the garden centre. I mustn't forget that. So I wanted to use that because it's got nice short. I thought it's got nice short stems, so I'd use that one as well. And yeah, the leaves are a bit small. So there's a noise, there's this drilling next door. I don't know if you can hear, there's somebody's drilling next door. Oh God, what on earth is that? So sorry about that, we've got drilling going on through the wall. I don't know if you can hear it. Oh dear, whatever next, oh dear. So anyway, one day I'll have a proper studio, and I was just laughing the other day that there are some, you know, florists, and they've got these, you know, barn conversions, and you know they go out and they say, well, here's my studio, and it's this beautiful barn with all these sort of reclaimed timbers, and anyway, I don't live in I haven't got a reclaimed barn. Perhaps I will one day when I'm a big success. I'll have a reclaimed barn, and I'll be able to film in from there. But at the moment, this is just a little spare corner in the house where I do my filming. Perhaps I'll have to do some stuff the other side of the camera so you can see where I am. So oh, anyway, so next door must be putting up some shelves or something today, or some such thing. But anyway, I was filming outside a couple of weeks ago, but there's the noise of the traffic has caused me to come indoors. So anyway, we don't want a load of noise in the background. So I'm just trimming these down. These are really sweet, these little sweet Williams, and I've tried growing them from seed, but I found them quite difficult to get going from seed. But I think if you buy the plug plants in the autumn and plant them in the ground, I did that one year, and they were really successful. And but they're very cheap. If you can get hold of them, they're very cheap to buy in the shops. And they always used to sort of have bucketfuls outside, like little shops. They used to sort of have a bucket of Sweet Williams, and they were really sort of cheap things to buy. But I don't know if they do that anymore. So right, so I think those bits are too short. So there's enough there. There's plenty of material there for me to do another little posy. So I'll cut this. Is rather, you know, it's just another different sort of thing, isn't it, really? And this has got some decent stem length. And what I like about it is on the back, it's got this really bright pink on the back of the stems, which is really attractive. So there we are. Oh, it sounds like the drilling stopped. Anyway, perhaps they heard me talking about them. There we go. Let's just. So I presume this will all grow back. I'll plant it out in the garden, and then, you know, hopefully it'll come again next year. So perhaps I could have done all this before I started filming, so save you having to watch me do all this. But there's, you know, some nice little bits of leaves there, and so I mean you can see that coming together without, you know, you wouldn't have to do a lot. You could, one idea you could do is to do just one thing, just to do a little jam jar just full of one flower, and do separate flowers in each one. You wouldn't have to necessarily arrange them as a mixed posy, as I'm going to do here. So I'm just a bit concerned about the amount of time I'm spending doing this. So I think we'll stop in just a minute with this. That's it. Just work a bit quicker, get this done. And yeah, so Mother's Day here is in the UK. It's in March, and so my mum's getting 2 Mother's Days this year, because we're going to celebrate it in May along with our friends, you know, in different parts of the world, and she also celebrates it in March. So that's rather nice. I don't see why you can't have two Mother's Days. There's, you know, it's like you might sort of have a few more. This sounds like a good idea. Right, so I've got that there, and just quickly do this I don't think I need all those leaves really, but so let's just do it into a little nice tight little posy there with some leaves, and it doesn't need to be you know, absolutely perfect, I don't think. The Sweet Williams are quite big, I must say, they're quite big. But it's just nice to use up a few little bits, leftover bits. So I'll just move it there so you can see what I'm doing there. Work these roses in, some leaves. Nice little pose. I like little things, to be honest, little dainty things. I think they're really nice. So that Sweet William is quite big, so I'm just putting the roses round in a circle around that Sweet William to get it going, get things started. Yeah, I don't think I want to keep the Sweet Williams apart if I can. So here we are. Good job we've got this foliage. It might be nice to put a bit of the hawthorn in as well. Yeah, a bit of light green. Looks quite nice. Oh, and I completely forgot there were these hazel catkins, weren't there? I had the hazel catkins here. Just completely forgot about those. So anyway, I think it's going to be a bit difficult to separate out the Sweet Williams. I think they're going to have to. Oh, it might be nice just to do it as like a sort of Victorian posy with just a ring. I don't know. I think I'm going to make this into a nice sort of dome shape, see if I can do that. There we are. So it's nice. It's much less stressful doing a small little posy like this than it is trying to do a big thing and hold it all in your hands and look at it. It's much easier to do it like this. Perhaps I'll to lean forward, and then you'll be able to see a bit better. I'm losing my voice at the moment. If I have a couple of telephone conversations during the day and record one of these videos, I lose my voice. I'm just not used to talking to too many people here in lockdown and that. You go all day, you never talk to anybody. So my vocal cords aren't quite used to doing all this talking. So I shall have to be quiet after this for a couple of days to let my vocal cords recover. So I hope you can see that there. Sorry, I should have leant forward a bit sooner. I would like to get a second camera set up here. It is definitely on my to-do list to organise another camera. Now, while I think about it, I'm going to put my string in the water to so it's soaked, ready for when it comes to tie it this time. There we are. That's it. So another bit of Sweet Williams there. Oh, I keep looking at these. I always just think they would make bridesmaids' face. It might be nice for a bridesmaid. But just a little thing like that with some red leaves on it. It's just really sort of simple. Like you've just gone out and, you know, that to me, that like you've just gone out to the garden and you've just picked a few little simple bits out of the garden for bridesmaids. I think that would be really. You know, I think with weddings, sometimes there's so much goes into, so much sort of work goes into it. I mean, the perfect flowers and all these sort of things. I think the idea that you just go out and just pick a little posy of flowers, I think, I think that'd be a really nice thing to do. So, there we are. So I think that's nearly finished. I think these ones are a little bit too short. I don't think they're gonna. There's some longer bits there. Is that long enough to go in? Yes, probably. And another Sweet William there. So that's lovely. I love the way it sort of just goes into the shape, sort of all of its own. So I probably could have done with a bit more foliage. It would have been nice to have gone around the edge and just trimmed the edge off with some foliage, but there we are. That's that's nice. Just with the leftover bits, really. You know, it's not a, you know, it's not a lot of design. Like I've thought, oh, I'm going to do this special design with pink Sweet Williams and salmon pink spray roses. It's just you know, it's just what there is. It just comes together, and it you know, it's nice. So you don't have to sort of worry about you know, having some special colour palette or anything like that. It's just a really nice, you know, it's a really lovely, you know, especially if that was a family sort of get together, and you were having a little, that'd be lovely, wouldn't it? That'd be beautiful. So anyway, let's give that a tie now. Goodness, this thing about wetting the string, it's changed my life really. I used to find this so stressful, trying to tie bouquets, and I was like this with my mouth, and it really does make it so much easier. I must say, it's really helpful to be able to do it that way. So anyway, when you heard it from me first, it was my idea, you heard it from me first. So, right, let's just tidy these off. And, you know, I want it, for a table decoration, things need to be low. I don't want it sort of up high, because guests have got to talk to each other across the table. So, really, so that, you know, that what I'm looking at is this little, I think it's a little sugar bowl, or I don't know, but you could, I think that would, yeah, that one will support it a bit better. There's that, so there's so if you can see this, so there's that jam jar there, but the stalks, so I've cut the stalks off, they don't go down to the bottom of the jam jar. So that, to me, that would look absolutely terrible if I was sitting at a table and I saw they put it in a jam jar and they didn't go to the bottom. That would really annoy me. Well, not annoy me, but I would notice that doesn't. It looks like it's sort of swinging in the air. So I wouldn't. I don't think that's very good. So, but I think this. Just spread those out a bit. Yeah, but I just think that little one there. There it is. That's fine, isn't it? And so I haven't got any water in there, but that could be trimmed down just a tiny little bit more, and to really get it low in the container. But there we are. There it is. So you, yeah, that is still a little bit high, but it needs to be trimmed down slightly. So there it is in a little sugar bowl, and so there's your second table arrangement. And these little bits here, these could be. Oh, I missed one there. There's a nice one there I could have used, because these dry. You don't have to worry about putting them in water. So when you're doing your finished sort of thing, you could actually put these on the table, you know, like on your napkin or something like that. You could just place a spray rose on the napkin, you know, and it would be fine. It would just dry during the day. But that would be a lovely thing. You could just sort of scatter those along the table. And use those as well. And even these bits of leaves, these don't need to be in water really. There's some odd bits of leaves, so you could dress the table with those leftovers as well. So there it is. That looks like a bit like a hydrangea to me. Anyway, so there we are. So you've got a large table centerpiece. And then you could do these small little ones, put them in jam jars, and you could space those down the length of the table, and then use the little spray roses and some leftover foliage to decorate the place as well. And some, you know, some candles and some nice glasses and things like that. It'd look really nice. So there it is, a table decoration for Mother's Day. And so anyway, I hope you like this. Don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter. There's down in the description below, there'll be a link to my newsletter, and you can follow me over on social media too. So thank you for being here. I've really enjoyed it today, and thank you very much, and happy Mother's Day to everybody. Thank you.